Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by fellow lifetime Longhorn, the young prodigy C.J. Vogel, and of course our coach, former high school football coach at Vernon, Capel, Brownwood, Rotan, Belton. Also played college football at Abilene Christian, coach there as well, and was on the staff at the University of Texas for multiple head coaches. It is our own coach. You can catch his work at ShipleyRanches.com these days. Coach Bob Shipley. What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
Got a little snow on the ground in big country. It's all good out here at Abilene.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. CJ, you up there in Dallas, y'all got snow too, right?
Yeah, no, I woke up, it's been snowing a little bit up here. We made our way over to AT&T Stadium a little bit, snowing over there as well. So if you're making the trip over to Arlington for the game tomorrow night, safe travels, because I know Texans, they don't like two things, right? Snow and then driving in the snow.
Yep, no doubt. I put me in that territory. I had to live in Detroit and live in Colorado for a couple of years. Did not enjoy that at all. So hopefully everybody out there is being safe. If you're on your way down to the game, please be safe on those roads. And if you just watch from home like us, like Coach always says, make sure you check out the in-game live watch, because we'll be watching the game and taking you through every step. Jerry Hamilton, myself, Coach Shipley, Aaron Hogan. It's always a really good time. All right. Of course, we're talking a lot of Texas, Ohio State. Everybody knows that we're going to continue to break down that matchup as well. But Sark spoke to the media today, media availability. And there were some interesting things that came up at the media availability that I think we need to address. We'll do that. There's some big news in terms of the changing landscape of college football. Carson Beck, we'll talk about it. I don't know if you, Coach, if you heard about the Carson Beck news, but we'll get into that because I want to talk about that. May be something that becomes more and more common in college football, especially at the quarterback position. We'll talk about that and get into it. Also, we'll get into any other news, notes, and nuggets you guys want to address. Please hit us up in the chat. You guys know how it works. Super chats jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time. Throw out a super chat, but you guys drive the show wherever you want to. Ask us questions. We love when you participate in the winning drive. All right, let's get right to it, gentlemen. Let's talk about Sark's media availability here, CJ. And I know you were on it because you always our man with boots on the ground there. I was a little surprised by this, but I'll give Bobby Burton some credit because Bobby said it at the last week. Actually, Bobby got into this right after, I should say, the Arizona State game. He got into it and said that maybe they should open up the kicking competition right before, obviously, the semifinal for the college football playoff. Well, Steve Sarkisian did not commit to Bert Auburn today when he was asked about Bert Auburn handling the field goal responsibilities against Ohio State. Said they're going to monitor it, Coach, see how things go, and then maybe Bert Auburn, but it may be someone else. What are your thoughts about this, Coach? This is deciding, hey, man, I think I've had enough of the inconsistency of Bert Auburn.
I'm all for it. Competition is, it just breeds success in my mind. I would like to see us, as I think we talked about this earlier in the week. I would like to see, maybe give somebody else a shot at it and take a little pressure off of Bert, so that maybe if the backup doesn't come through, then Bert doesn't have the pressure on him that he had before. So I mean, how many times are you going to let that dog bite you? I mean, I'm not saying anything that I'm just talking about a dog being somebody who's not getting their job done. Has nothing to do with Bert, nothing to do with any lineman that maybe replaced a starter that's coming back. Has nothing to do with that. But I'm just saying we've he's had multiple chances to win games, and he's just been too inconsistent. So we're to the point now. We got to try something else. And if that doesn't work out, put Burke back in, and he may be all world without that pressure on him leading up to the game.
Yeah.
Nope, I agree with you. It's like that old saying, right? Fool me once, fool me once, that's shame on you. Fool me twice, that's shame on me. Or as George W. said, just don't get fooled again.
Yep.
just don't get fooled again. I think that's what we're dealing with here, CJ. I agree with Coach. I mean, at this point, I do think it's worth it for Sark to open it up, even if to try to shift the psychological element with Bert Auburn. Maybe that flips something. Maybe that ends up triggering something for him, just going back into competitive mode.
Yeah, who knows? Because kickers are kind of ficky, right?
Yeah, we're
They're fickle when it comes to their mental and what goes on between the brains. Coach, you know it in baseball. You don't ever want to talk to the starting pitcher, right? When they got something good going and they're 4 scoreless, 5 scoreless. You don't go up and start talking to them in between innings because they're locked into that zone. I think kickers are very much the same, and so when more pressure is added, or when all eyes are now turned to the place kicker on a field goal attempt, regardless of how far it is, now that extra pressure is mounting. Now they're feeling the weight of 80,000 people on their shoulders rather than just, hey, let me go out there and kick a kick the same way I've kicked for my entire life, essentially. So it's interesting. But the comments from Sark, and you see it there. Thank you, Matthew, for pulling them up. Interesting, right? Because that last sentence, we'll monitor that through pregame and make a decision and go. And that's more just, all right, how's Burt looking? How's Will Stone looking? Is there a consistency between the two? Is there a rhythm between the two? Because not only would that change who's kicking, but that's going to change who's holding, right? Because Will Stone's a left-footed kicker, Burt Auburn's a right-footed kicker. You're going to have a brand new kind of procedure for that entire battery, that operation from the snapper to holder to kicker. And I don't think that's something that you want to do 16 games into the season. But, when you're 6 of 14 from 40 plus and you've missed 2 kicks that would have lifted an SEC championship trophy, it's probably time to at least go out there and make sure that nobody else on this roster can do that job of kicking through the uprights.
Yeah, I don't think it's always. Sometimes I think coaches are doing it just to motivate a guy. They know they're trying to. I was kind of testing their football character. They know how they're, or at least they expect them to respond to it. And so, there is this way to try to, kind of really uplift the competitive nature in that room and the competitive spirit in that player. And I think that's what Sark's trying to do, trying to kind of reawaken the competitive spirit in Burt Auburn. And I think Burt Auburn's still going to end up being the kicker. That's just my prediction. I don't think he'll go with, Stone just because he saw what he was doing in warm-ups. I think this is a psychological ploy to try to get Burt Auburn motivated again, and maybe getting him back to just the basics of competing for a job will get him back there. I remember Bobby Knight had a great saying, because people always – this is negative connotation with benching somebody like, oh, man, you benched them. That may be traumatic psychologically for a player. But if a player has good athletic character, they'll respond in a positive way to being benched. They will.
Right.
Just like Quinn did in the Georgia game. If you got some football character in you, you'll respond well to being benched. I know a lot of guys. I played with a lot of guys who got benched. Some of them didn't survive it. Some guys came back with a vengeance, after being benched because it woke up that competitive sickness within them. The Bobby Knight quote, I love it. The greatest motivator in the world is your ass on the bench. Ass meets bench. Bench retains ass. Ass transmits signal to the brain. Brain transmits signals to the body. Body gets ass off bench and plays better. It's a hell of a sequence.
I've never heard that. That's good. So awesome.
I love it. Because I think it's true, Coach. I think if you got any pride about yourself, you get benched, man, you come back ferocious as a competitor. I think that's what starts trying to awaken in Burt Auburn.
Yeah, my feeling is this. If you got a high school kicker, you got to treat him with white gloves. I mean, he's probably all you got. Not too many high schools have 2 great kickers. Mm-hmm. But in college, every starting kicker in college and probably backup kicker in college would give anything to have a chance to kick in the NFL. Well, guess what? You know what they say the NFL stands for. And it is not for long if you can't make your kicks, because they don't baby your butt. They cut you and sign somebody new. So that's the expectation. So the more you baby a kicker, the more you give in to his mental midget. He's a mental midget. You just feed that mental midget, But when you realize there are circumstances, and this, and we love you, man. We appreciate everything you've done, but you got to make kicks in championship games. You have to make kicks. You got to have ice in your vein. Whatever you have to do to get your psyche going to do that, we're going to do it. We hope as we sit your butt on the bench that you will gather the right thoughts and get the right stuff, juju going in your mind, so that you can overcome everything.
Yep.
But you can't say, oh, Bert, we're We're just going to try. But listen, don't let it hurt your feelings. We're just going to try a little bit. Then we're going to put you back in because you could still be the man. No, Bert, you're probably making a lot of money. I mean, who is it? Bert's got some great NIL stuff.
They do.
I mean, one of them is Hargrove Roofing.
Hargrove Ray.
So he's been paid a lot of money. Do your job, or somebody else will do it. And then while someone else is doing it, you have to get yourself ready to figure out what's wrong. What am I doing wrong? I've read some things from some really good kicking coaches who say it's simple what he's doing wrong. He's dropping his shoulder, he's bringing his head up, whatever, and he can get it worked out. He's made clutch kicks before. He didn't just lose his nuts in one game or two games. I mean, he's got it. He just got to get that confidence and that juju back, or I'm sorry, it's reality in this world, because whether you're in a blue blood college program or an NFL, it's not for long if you can't make critical kicks. There's so much on the line.
Too much.
You ain't worried about hurting somebody's feelings when a national championship's on the line. You're worried about giving yourself the best chance to win. And to me, let's give somebody a fresh start. That's me.
Yep, I'm with you, Coach. No, I agree. You can't, I love your thing about, hey, you don't have to have kid gloves with these guys anymore. You do need to understand it's about accountability. You got to be accountable. And Sark's whole program is about accountability. And I think that's why he's opening up the kicking job. Not opening it up, but at least now he could consider another option, because everybody on the team now is looking at Bert Auburn and saying, well, hey, if I wasn't doing my job and I was getting burnt out there, y'all send me on the bench. Y'all would put me on the bench after hell. Texas, we've seen Texas do it in game. Did it to Quinn Ewers in the Georgia game. Hell, they did it to Jalen Gilbo in the Clemson game. They're like, nah, man, you're getting beat too much. Come on out here, Jade, get that nickel.
It's nothing against Gilbo. It's nothing against Gilbo. It's nothing personal against Bert Auburn. It's nothing personal about the man, Bert Auburn. It's just what's going to give us the best chance to win football games. That's what makes this machine roll, is winning football games.
Am I tripping? I just said let him hang out with Matthew McConaughey for like a couple hours. Why do I feel like that would fix? I'm not joking. I'm serious.
You really want him to loosen out, Rod?
He would loosen up a little bit. He
might
not
as
pass
calm
the
as
drug
possible.
Test. He would loosen up. I'm kidding, Matthew. I'm kidding.
But I feel like, because that's what we want from him, right? We want him to be. We want that. We want that kicker who has that even when the pressure's on. Remember the story about VY. Right, that VY's cracking jokes. Stutter told me a national title game against USC. He's cracking jokes in the huddle. It's about to be clutch time, and he comes in there cracking jokes like, "Hey, let's go." Ultimately, that's what you want.
That's what Bert would probably look like.
Probably what he would. I feel like Matthew McConaughey is great under pressure, and I feel like maybe can pass on
that. Now that's a great point, because that dude is always cool. He's
cool,
always cool. Yeah. I wish a little of that coolness would come off.
That's kind of what I'm saying. I think Bert Auburn can deal with some of that. Speaking of Bert Auburn, let's thank our friends over at Hardcore Roofing.
One of our sponsors, a Rogue Shop, might can help.
Rogue Shop, Joy Mode, whatever it takes, Bert Auburn. We're just trying to help you out, brother. Let's thank our friends over at Hardcore Roofing, because they actually have partnerships with lifetime Longhorn Bert Auburn, as well as my former teammate, lifetime Longhorn Stevie Lee, who joins us on Mondays, and really excited about that continued partnership. But our friends over at Hardcore Roofing, they can help you out, folks. If you have any issues with your roof or concerns about your roof, reach out to them today, 512-645-3202. They have offices all over Louisiana, Arkansas, and of course, the great state of Texas, including Austin, Texas. Hardcore Roofing will take care of all of your roofing needs. Plus, they're Longhorn friendly, folks. You won't see or meet more pro burnt orange roofing company or a company out there, period. That's why we love our friends at Hardcore Roofing. Right now, they're offering a free roof inspection right now. You won't beat that price. Free $99. Best price you're going to get. Give them a call, 512-645-3202. Know who's on your roof with Hardgrove Roofing, hardgroveroofing.com. All right, thank you guys. Hardcore Roofing, we appreciate you sponsoring the Winning Drive. Let's hit a couple of super chats, then we'll come back and talk more about Sark's comments at the media availability. And also, I want to talk about this Carson Beck story a little bit. I think it's really intriguing. I think it could be the start of a new trend in college football. But let's some super chats first. Colt Monroe said, "Let's CJ be the kicker." Hey, Colt. Thanks for joining us. Hey, CJ, you did well. How long was that kick you nailed? With 30-some yards?
No, it was it was about 30. Colt, you need to get back to art class or something before I get Blake on the phone.
Seriously, I guess school just got out not too long ago.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, whose money you spending, Colt? Make sure we're good on that. Thank you, Colt. We appreciate you, brother. All right, now listen, CJ. Look at this. There we go.
Yeah, I booted this one. This
boom.
Sometimes you
boom.
just know.
Come on.
Heck yeah.
You look pretty relaxed on there, man. Follow through. Got the head down. I love it, man. I love it. All right, let's get to Scott here. Says flight got canceled. Any idea when DFW will open?
Oh.
Whoa, Scott. That's
a good question.
I didn't even know they had shut it down. I will do some makeshift research and try to figure out something for you, Scott. I'm sorry about that. Man.
I had seen that some flights from Ohio had been getting canceled or delayed, so I don't know what that means, for Ohio State fans. But look, I'm probably 3 or 4 miles from DFW right now. Yeah. It's been snowing pretty steadily the entire day. I'm looking out my window just to kind of give a quick gauge on what it's looking like coming out. It's been steady, and it's not been thick, but it's been enough to build up and up so far. So I'm thinking it might be a little while before planes are coming back in.
And it's really just because we in down here in Texas, we don't know how to handle this kind of weather. It's not like it's that extreme. In Detroit, they laughing at this, walking around in t-shirts right now. I mean, it's just in Texas, we don't weatherize our equipment like that, and we don't have the proper, equipment to deal with snowy conditions, stuff like that. So that's more what it's about. We're ill-equipped for this kind of stuff.
Rod, I'm a hoodie guy through and through. But I got the big coat on the bed right there, and I broke it out for the first time in months, maybe years even, all because it's snowing out here.
That is true. Texans, we always have the big coats don't come out for like once every 2 years, man, for those big freezes.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, Coach says, we're out of school. It's snowing and we're out tomorrow. Snow day. Let's go. Woo! Full of game day, the snow day. God is good. Do you remember how awesome it was, Coach, when they canceled school?
Absolutely.
Oh, man. There was nothing better than that when they canceled school.
Yeah, but those are the days my kids got up like at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
I couldn't budge them if it was 6 o'clock on a school day. 6 o'clock, no school. Whoop, they're up. They're going. Here we go. And I'm like,
Coach, were they still in school? Would y'all figure out if school was closed by the news running the little ticker under the bottom of so-and-so school district?
Being a staff member, I would always get text. But yeah, there's that's how everybody else finds out. Or actually now, most everybody's they've got an alert from the schools they send out to everybody. So, but yeah, that's how we used to do it.
That's how I used to do it. Just
I used to watch KXAN when I was in Burnet, and I'd watch that go across there, and I'm like, come on.
I know. I remember those days too. Oh, nothing better than them.
Colt, you better stay out of trouble. I know snow days are where you get in the most trouble in the neighborhood. So
CJ would know about that kind of stuff. All right, let's get to and thank you guys for the super chats. We'll get back to some questions here in just a moment. I want to discuss the Carson Beck news, guys. This is really, really intriguing because there were rumors about this being the case, but today looks like there's been some confirmation that and Carson Beck is actually going to hit the transfer portal. It is being reported instead of obviously deciding to go to the NFL and forego any remaining eligibility. He is deciding that he is going to transfer to a different school. And I can kind of see it because we talked about this, CJ. He was having a disastrous season. I mean, people think that Quinn Ewers' draft stock dropped. Well, not as much as Carson Beck. I mean, it took a precipitous fall. I mean, it plummeted into the toilet. I mean, some people are saying he's going to be a second, third round pick potential. This guy that was going to be the first quarterback taken off the board. Is this just specific to Carson Beck's situation, or do you think this is because some people think Chris? I know I don't want to see the meme, the gift from my man CJ throwing his hat, but there are some Longhorn fans that believe that Quinn might take a similar path instead of going to the NFL. They may decide to repair his draft stock by transferring elsewhere. I'm not saying I believe that at all. I'm just saying I know that's out there as conjecture. But what are your thoughts about this being the case for some of the potential quarterbacks coming out that may decide, no, if I'm dropping too far in the draft? I heard Mel Kiper bring this up. He actually referenced Quinn Ewers and said if Quinn Ewers' stock dropped too much, that he should go back to school and try to increase his draft stock in value. What are your thoughts about this, guys? Is this just a unique, specific situation, or can we see this becoming more and more of a trend?
I think it could become more of a trend because of NIL, right? We've seen quarterbacks who have had starting jobs leave for other opportunities. You've seen quarterbacks, Carson Beck being one of them, that have had, that path to the NFL and say, hold on, I'm going to wait a year. I'm going to, stick around in school. Garrett Nussmeier's another one at LSU who I think could have gone and maybe been a day 2 pick, this year. Again, it's not a very deep draft at quarterbacks. Maybe one of the worst quarterback drafts ever when you talk about just the top end surefire talent, right? There's maybe 3 in contention for the first round, maybe 2, that hear their name called. It's not a great year. And to see a lot of these names return to school, well, I think a lot of that is because you hear about the reports of, top dollar in NFL rookie money is being spent on these guys to stay in school. So I think that's a big part of it. And look, you need a quarterback, right? We've talked about it year in and year out. And if you can kind of delay that guaranteed money 1 extra year, that NFL money 1 extra year, while still being compensated fairly and pretty healthily in college, why not, right? I think that's smart. And for Beck specifically here, and this goes into the case by case. Well, let's not forget he's having Tommy John, right? He's got that dinged up shoulder and elbow from the Texas game. So I think that's a big part of it as well. So it's case by case, but I do think you'll start seeing more and more of it because, hey, you never know which university is going to come out and say, all right, we desperately need a quarterback to compete where we want to compete this year. We'll go pay top dollar for it.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, I guess the value period and the money that big-time programs are willing to spend on the quarterback position, that is starting to increase. And, Coach, the truth is, if you look around college football, you got to have that big-time quarterback. And more and more schools, whether look at Notre Dame now, look at Texas right now as well. You're going to look around a lot of the teams that are still playing. They've been able to pick up a transfer quarterback, a big-time transfer QB that's really been able to finalize that championship roster for them.
Yeah, the reality is what makes this even obviously a possibility is that they're not losing much because of the NIL money. It's not that much of a gamble. But my thought is if a quarterback feels like that the offense or the situation he was in didn't realistically show what he's capable of, and he kind of wants to go into another system, maybe something that will show his skill set a little bit better or whatever. It doesn't do any good to transfer to another college if you feel like you're in the best offense that fits you.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And so obviously there's something there that makes him feel like the offense doesn't fit his skill set so that he can maximize his potential and show everything that he can do. Yeah. So in doing this, he's going to obviously pick a program who needs a quarterback, but who also has a scheme that he feels like will be a best fit for the talent skill that he brings in. And so that's not going to be true for everybody, and I have no idea if he thinks, there's another system that's going to be better for him. Look at the finesse of Oregon. That was my first thought. Okay, we'll go to Oregon. Well, Oregon, I mean, when you look at that, it's a little bit debunked now because they were a finesse team. And as we've talked about so many times, finesse teams rarely make it to the semis and certainly rarely to the championships because there's too many great athletes on the other side of the field for a finesse. You have to be able to run the ball. You have to be able to be very physical offensively, which doesn't always show the quarterback's skill set because he's handing it off a lot. So maybe he's wanting to go somewhere where he can air it out all the time and then say, okay, put together what I did at Georgia, put together what I did at my new school, whatever that is. And then now this is the skill set I bring to the NFL because he can get he can get rookie money, probably, don't y'all think, for an NIL deal for 1 year? So it's not money. It's just him trying to find a fit for his skill set to show just an overall view of this is what I can do. I don't feel like you saw everything I could do in this Georgia offense. So I don't know what that's going to be. I don't know what the answer is. I think it's obviously an individual basis. I don't know how Quinn could go to another offense that would showcase his talent any better than Sarkisian's offense. But
I agree.
So I think with it being not a great year for quarterbacks, you go on. But obviously, these guys have put 10, 15 years training into this to be able to have a chance, and they want to have the best chance they can. And who knows? He may want to win a Heisman. He may want to go somewhere where he feels like he can win a Heisman, but for whatever reason, that offense at Georgia may not be able to showcase his talent enough to win a Heisman. Because when you win a Heisman, you're set for life. That's pretty obvious.
Yeah. No, it's a good point, Coach. Like I said, we don't know what his goals are and what he's trying to achieve. I assume it's just draft stock improvement, but you're right. He could have other individual goals that he's trying to achieve as well. And I just think ultimately for Carson Beck, he was let down a lot by his wide receivers. I mean, you guys, I think they were close to leading the country in drops.
Yeah, I think they did, Rod. I think they were.
Okay, yeah. They had a bunch of. Think about how much different his stats would be. Hell, some of those drops were picks in that beginning.
There was one stat I thought I saw, and I wish I could credit who it came from, but the drop yardage from where the ball was at the time of the drop down the field, it was like 640 yards. That's
crazy.
2 full games essentially of yards on the ground, and who knows what the science is behind that. But if that's the case, it's well out in front of whoever's number 2 was in the country. And that's, again, to the point, so bad from the Georgia wide receivers.
And I wonder how that affects his psyche too throughout the season. Like, man, I thought I can trust these guys. I can't trust these guys. And I think it affects him as a quarterback. I still think Carson Beck is a good QB. I think that some of the circumstances around him, including the drops, and that maybe he didn't like the offensive scheme. Maybe all those things kind of led to him having a down year. I can't wait to see where he goes, though, because I'm with Coach. You want to go somewhere that's going to help prepare you for the league. That should be your ultimate goal. Somebody's going to prepare a system that will prepare you for the NFL. Where is that? Who's got that?
And Rod, here's another question. If he does do this, how does this affect Georgia's ability to recruit quarterbacks in the future?
Good point. Good point, Coach. Yeah, you're right about that. That's a good. Yeah, you don't want to. Oh, there it is. Look, good job. Good job there, Matthew. Appreciate that. 665 yards off drops alone.
It's not good.
Uh,
Then SEC StatCat says it is a new record. Yeah. So that's crazy, man. That's unbelievable. I knew that was the case. I knew they dropped a lot of passes into Texas versus Texas too. They dropped a lot of passes. So we'll see. Maybe the next place he goes, he looks for better wide receivers and a better scheme. I think you should look for someone that's going to prepare you for the league as well. All right, there you go. So Carson Beck is entering the transfer portal. Let's get to super chat from Edgar. Edgar, thank you for the super chat. Said several consecutive amazing recruiting classes on the 40 acres, but doesn't it feel likely this next class can start several true freshman dogs? Okay. CJ, do you think this freshman class coming up, that's going to be hard, Edgar, because you're stockpiling so much talent now. Like I said, when Sark first got here, your Kelvin Banks and your Xavier Worthies, they start because, your roster, beyond his talent on the roster was, leaving a lot to be desired. Now you are rolling. You're about to have double-digit players drafted probably in this year's draft. You've been stockpiling talent. You're starting to build almost a pipeline at certain positions, D tackle, running back, right? Where you just the next guy up goes to the league. Next guy up is an NFL player. Who do you think in this next recruiting class, CJ, could obstruct that and end up, kind of circumventing their way on the field and skipping the line?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting because, again, on top of, who Texas is losing to graduation in the NFL draft, well, they only have so far 9 people that have transferred out, right? So, Rod, to your point, there's not much attrition expected except for guys to the league. Now, maybe that changes when this class arrives in the spring and some of the guys who have been here a year or two start to see where they are on the pecking order, and that might catapult them up that depth chart. But right now, I can't imagine that there's very many empty spots or thin positions. Obviously, defensive tackle's one. Look, I don't think that's a spot that you'd like to see a lot of inexperience at in 2025, especially in the SEC. Cade Phillips is interesting to me.
Ooh.
After seeing him in person again for the All-American Bowl practice on Tuesday, that's an interesting one. Jahdae Barron will depart. Gavin Holmes, you don't necessarily know what he's up to. I know corner, you don't want to have a young guy there, but a 5-star kid with that length, maybe I could see it.
I like that, man. I've worked with Cade Phillips before personally, and I do think the young man can handle a lot early on. Whether he can end up breaking to the starting position, that's another thing. But I do think in some of those packages, you got the dime packages now and the NASCAR dime. Maybe they can work him in. But I like that one. What about tight end?
Tight ends interesting.
In some good tight ends in this class. I know you're going to play a tight end right away because I like Jordan Washington too. But they won't have more of the proven commodities there. There'll be a lot of questions at tight end.
Sure.
Potentially.
Yeah, I think so. Hey, I know Gunnar Helm's been great. I know that we've only seen, Amari Niblack sporadically this year. Juan Davis has stepped into that role very well. Still, I'm a bit surprised that we haven't seen more of Jordan Washington. And I guess it's just trying to earn that trust more and more from the staff. That's a tough thing to do because, again, Rod, you've talked about it plenty. That's the second most important position on the Texas offense behind quarterback, according to Sarkisian. Can you trust that with a true freshman?
It's true. Good point.
We'll see.
Yeah, those guys, Sark's tight ends, they move and shift as much as almost any players in the country. He moves and shifts his tight ends a ton. There's a lot for them to mentally have to process. So maybe that's why you don't see a young buck like Jordan Washington out there until he can kind of really master the offense. Let's thank our friends over at Duck Camp really quick before we move on. Thank you, Edgar, for the question. We appreciate that. Duck Camp produces premium outdoor goods for the outdoor spirit in each and every one of us. Duck Camp is dedicated to providing the best outdoor goods so you can outdoor good. Whether you're an avid hunter or you prefer fishing or you're like me, you like the camaraderie of the campsite, you can enjoy Duck Camp no matter what you're doing because trust me, folks, I love it. I got a lot of great Duck Camp gear. I got a couple of hoodies, got a couple of pullovers from Duck Camp, got a couple of hats from Duck Camp now. My wifey's actually ordering some stuff from Duck Camp. Love the color, whatever it's called. They got a color really close to burnt orange. Every time I wear it, people think I'm wearing Longhorn gear. So Duck Camp, hey, trust me, folks, they can take care of you no matter what your what you want and what you need. Duck Camp is the perfect brand to understands the culture of outdoor living and the good times and good friends that come along with living an outdoor lifestyle. Check out their new fall selection today at duckcamp.com. And thank you very much to Duck Camp for sponsoring all of this week's live shows as we preview the college football playoffs. So all of our live shows are brought to you by Duck Camp. So thank you to Duck Camp for sponsoring our playoff previews of the Texas-Ohio State matchup. Thank you very much. All right, let's get back to – you know what? Before we move on to some more questions, I want to bring this up because I saw this tweet. I've seen it from John Ewing, Ben Fox. These are gambling experts or sports gambling experts out there. And they claim, so I don't know how confident you guys are that Texas is going to win, but apparently there's one person out there, I don't know who it is, that's really confident because one better at BetMGM wagered $90,000 on the Texas Longhorns money line, plus 185.
That's a good chunk of change.
That's a good chunk of change. You bet more than we do, CJ. So can you explain to the folks 90 G? I don't even, you may bet still today. I don't know.
I told them that was supposed to be anonymous. That's so embarrassing.
No, but that's there you go. I mean, apparently somebody out there putting some big money down on this game. All right, folks, what we've gone from, I believe the line started out at 4, somewhere around there. Now I've seen it at 6.5. Texas is a 6.5 point dog. Not sure where the line is now. I haven't followed it, CJ. You probably keep up with it more so than we do. But at this point, you're going on, 24 hours before the game. I think what's your biggest concern now, this close to the game? CJ and Coach, each one of you, what's your biggest concern now, leading up to the game now, after all your research and obviously prep you?
My biggest concern is what plan Sark has if the running game is not going, because we've all
agreed.
It's been we beat this dead horse all week. at this point in the semis and in the finals, you're not going to win by finesse. You have to win. You have to be able to run the ball some. And that's the biggest concern I have. If we're going to go to more of a gap scheme, we're going to throw in a counter power stuff along with our zone, because I'm telling you what Arizona State did. They put their defense in landmarks to stop our zone. They watched enough film and talking to people in the know. They put landmarks to stop our zone, and they did it very successfully. So we're going to need to tweak our run game, I think. Not that we couldn't just take a man on man, but it hasn't worked before. But we do have our starting five back apparently for the first time in three games or so. So that will help. But to me, it's the running game, and what tweaks we're going to make to the running game to ensure that we are successful running the football.
Yeah, Coach, I like that. I think maybe the home run plays won't be there in the run game, but if Texas can just add up those 4 to 6 yard rushes, just find ways to make it respectable. Get yourself in the 2nd and 3rd and short or medium, because that opens up a lot for you when you're not in 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 12 like we've seen all too often so far this postseason. The big thing for me, and I've been pounding the drum for the Texas defense the entire year. I feel like I was pretty early on that train to call them elite, right? I liked what I saw with the communication in the back end. I like what I've seen up front on the pass rush, right? But where are you looking to take away the weapons from Ohio State, specifically Jeremiah Smith, and not get hit elsewhere? That's a big concern for me. And, and I don't mean this in just terms for Texas, because, look, They've had 1,000 yards. They've had 84, 83 points over the last 2 games, playing 2 really good defenses, right? Oregon, number 1 in the country. Tennessee, that was a really good defense this year. They have a lot of playmakers on Ohio State. Texas does too. But that's a tough thing when you're going up against an offense with a lot of rhythm, playing with a lot of confidence, that it can roll in to a dome stadium, not have to deal with the elements, and just play their style of game the way that they've been playing over the last 2 weeks. And I know that, again, Texas has a good defense, but when you're kind of looking at the trajectories of the two, right, Texas has allowed a lot of yards. They've allowed a lot of points so far in the playoff. Ohio State, they've scored a lot of points so far. It's going to be really interesting to see how this shakes out, what kind of tweaks and adjustments Texas has defensively. Can they get pressure with 4? Do they need to double Jeremiah Smith? Where's Jahdae Barron in all of this? Is he over the middle? Can Anthony Hill man the middle of the field? Because that's a big part that Arizona State took advantage of in their pass game when they really started going as well. A lot of eyes on him, but they've got a lot of weapons. And the one kind of saving grace for me is Texas can rush the passer. And if they're able to get home on Will Howard, that negates all of these worries in a way, because he's not Sam Leavitt with his escapability. He's a good athlete. He's very mobile, but he's not as quick as Sam Leavitt. That's how you kind of, euthanize that offense, if you will.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think both you guys hit the nail on the head. For Coach, the running game, you need to have basically a contingency plan. I do think they'll stop your wide zone. I think they'll stop the wide zone, and you're going to find somebody to run the football or at least maintain balance, this semblance of a run game of some kind, so you're not totally one-dimensional versus Ohio State, which can be dangerous. You got to stay out 3rd and long. And Texas is 51st in the country in 3rd and long avoidance, which is not great. That's about average. Ohio State 10th, all right, enforcing 3rd and longs. That you got to stay out 3rd and longs. To Coach's point, you got to find somewhere on those early downs. And to you talking about CJ, you ain't got to break them. You ain't got to, break big explosive runs, but you need to be getting 4 yards, 4 yards a pop to keep yourself in 3rd and manageable. If you're in 3rd and long versus Ohio State over and over again, that could be trouble. And they can pin their ears back and get all exotic with their blitz and pressure packages. And to your point, CJ, and you had a tweet about this that was a pretty popular tweet, and I responded to it. Your idea to take the Belichick game plan versus an elite wide receiver, put your number 2 cornerback on them and double that guy with a safety over the top. Your number 2 cornerback on their number 1 wide receiver, that will be Jeremiah Smith, safety over the top, and then tell Jahdae Barron, hey, you got to lock up Egbuka one-on-one, and you're not going to get a lot of help with that. I love that idea. it'd be a little bit a tendency breaker for Texas because they don't play a lot of man. They don't shadow, but I still love that idea. I think he needs several plans for Jeremiah Smith because they're going to move him around. They're going to start moving around. Great tweet. Go check it out. They're going to start moving him around. When they move him around, they're going to essentially make some of your adjustments moot. And so, yes, sometimes I'd use your plan like that if available. There are other times where, hell, I'd be prepared to move Jahdae Barron around like you did in the Clemson game. Somebody's not getting it done. They put him in the slot too much. Put Jahdae Barron in the slot. Put Gavin Holmes on the corner. Keep it moving. Or I'd be ready to play the same pattern match coverage you play, 80-something% zone, except modify your pattern match coverages to help out whoever is guarding Jeremiah Smith. However it is. We don't know. We identify him, and then we modify the coverage. So I think you need several plans to take away those explosive threats. And listen, if you can stop the run with a light box, to me that may be my big concern. Mm-hmm. Can you stop the run with a light box? That's what Michigan did. Kept two safeties deep, limited the explosive plays. By the way, Vance Bedford responded to the conversation we were having on Twitter, CJ, and he likes your idea and said that's what Michigan does. He said Texas would be smart to match cornerbacks. Michigan has done this 3 years in a row. He said this allows cornerbacks to study the tendencies of different wide receivers. So he likes your idea as well. I think he should have several ideas ready for Jeremiah Smith and Egbuka because those guys are going to be a problem.
I agree.
Stop the run with the light box. You can limit the explosive plays, CJ, but that's the question. That means Alfred Collins and Vernon Broughton, they got to have
good days.
Yes,
absolutely.
Great days.
Yeah, Coach, when you're game planning for a team that has as many weapons as Ohio State, and especially a game breaker like Jeremiah Smith, is it wrong to say anybody but him to beat you, right? I know Egbuka's he's going to be a first-round pick. He has that type of talent. Carnell Tate, again, a 600-yard receiver. That's a good year in college football when you're not the number one guy. But he only has 2 receptions in the last 2 games for Ohio State. So it's not like they've been focusing on him to be their playmaker the way that Jeremiah Smith is. And the way that I kind of have concluded that Texas just needs to say, hey, anybody but Jeremiah Smith. Is that a fair way to kind of approach this game? Or is it, hey, you know what? We've been stuck to our principles the entire year. If he beats us, he beats us. But, hey, let's not let anybody else or whatnot, kind of dictate what's the outcome here.
Well, I don't know. I'm a little hard-headed. I challenge all of them. So I don't want any of them to beat you. You play your butt off. You play the best game of the year. But, Rod, I want to ask you a question. How successfully or can you disguise your coverages? Because if they know that we're in man, and obviously most of our viewers know this, but one of the reasons that Sark has so much motion and shifting is not necessarily to try to confuse the defense, although that's certainly one good reason, but it's to try to see if they're in man or zone, to try to we figure out what coverage they're in. And if they know that we're in man coverage, then as we talked about on Monday's show, you're going to have receivers running down the field with 4 or 5 DBs chasing them and maybe a running back chasing all of them. So it can be dangerous. I think that's a great idea, CJ. I think it's a wonderful idea, but I don't know that you can just say, here we are, this is what we're going to do every passing down or whatever. I think you have to try to find ways to disguise it, mix it up a little bit so they don't know for sure exactly what we're doing. And I think you'll probably see us start the game pretty base vanilla to see if with a light box, Rod, like what you were saying, if we can stop the run with a light box, have help over the top for Jeremiah Smith, which we're going to need. And I don't even know if that's going to do it, but we got to get pressure on the quarterback as well. So I just think you need to mix up your defensive looks. You don't want to stand back there and just let them know, okay, here's what we're doing, because offensive coordinators nowadays, especially the one at Ohio State, he's one of the top 3 in the country, without a doubt. And so give him heads up on what you're doing could spell disaster. And then it's just up to our guys to carry through. And it's up to our front guys to make sure the run doesn't get to the second level. Because if we're manned up and the running back breaks through and get to the second level, he's chasing DBs that have their backs to him.
Yep.
So I like those. I think those are great points. And it's going to be a really, really fun game. By the way, what are y'all's predictions for tonight's game?
It's a great.
That is a good one. I think I'm taking Notre Dame. I think I'm taking Notre Dame. I think it's gonna be an ugly street fight. It's gonna be a defensive struggle. I just don't trust James Franklin in big games. I like his quarterback, but I don't trust James Franklin in big games. And maybe this is the game where he changes my opinion of him. But I think I'm taking.
I'm gonna go opposite of you, Rod. I'm going with the quarterback, and maybe I'm wrong because look, we just saw Marcus Freeman outsmart the wits off of Kirby Smart, right? With that fourth down play, that their approach to that second half. I like Drew Aller and his playmaking ability a little bit more than Riley Leonard. I think that you can get more out of the pass game if they need to go down the field and score. I think that they have more of that ability, towards late end of half, end of game situations. And look, Notre Dame's been really good this year. It's going to be really interesting to see which defensive line comes out first, right? Is Abdul Carter 100%? We'll see. I think he's expected to play. But I like Penn State in this one because of the quarterback.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. You're right. Usually, best quarterback, I'll go with the better quarterback a lot of the times. And I love that tight end for Penn State. Man, he is a beast. But I don't trust James Franklin just yet. I hope he changes my mind because I'm actually a fan of Coach Franklin. That's why I turned against him. Because I used to pick him all the time. It made me look bad so many times. I was like, you know what? I'm never picking him again. So change my mind, Coach Franklin. All right, let's get back to the questions here. Oh, before we do that, let's thank our friends over at South Point Dodge very quickly before we move on. Hey, Texas football fans, you can score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. They have over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including an amazing selection of Ram 1500s, 2500s, and 3500s. Whatever your truck needs, South Point Dodge is the one-stop shop. And right now, they're having a great deal happening with over 50 Ram 2500s, all of them marked down with huge savings. So what are you waiting for? Get on over there to southpointdodge.com. South Point Dodge, a great selection of vehicles. You can go see their inventory in person for yourself off of I-35 in South Austin, or you can simply go online, no matter where you are, and check out southpointdodge.com, and you can go see their inventory there as well. They have great customer service, amazing customer service, and some of the best selection of automobiles that you'll see in Central Texas. That's southpointdodge.com. Austin's automotive everything. Whatever your truck needs, South Point Dodge is your one-stop shop. Thank you to South Point Dodge for sponsoring the winning drive. All right, let's get back to a couple of questions here. How about this one from Super Chatted? Thank you, Commodian. The Commodian, love that one. Love being the underdog. Driving in from Tyler tomorrow. All right. Hey, Commodian, be safe on that road. Thank you very much for the super chat. Yeah, the underdog thing is new. I think Texas will use it use it to their advantage. Like I said, it won't matter on game day once the ball's snapped, but the preparation, your focus leading up to the game, that chip on their shoulder, I think will help a lot of these guys really crystallize their focus. And I think Longhorn fans are actually liking the underdog thing, being the underdog, having the nation kind of say, Ohio State's going to win this thing and run away with it. Yeah, I think Longhorn fans
So what's a commodian? It's a guy that sits on the can and tells jokes to himself and laughs, or what? I'm not really sure what a commodian is.
That's what he is. He's funny.
I guarantee you, there's been some stuff happen in my days on the commode that would probably be, pretty comedic.
I don't know if you would. I don't know if you're going to share that, Coach. The commodian.
Okay, there you go.
I like that.
I've never done that. I've never done that.
I thought it'd be the guy running in yelling fresh cakes. If anybody's seen Ted 2, that's the fresh cakes guy.
Somebody how about a courtesy flush over here, man? Wow.
Urban Dictionary actually does have a definition for the commodian.
Okay. All right. Leave me in peace. Okay.
Leave me in peace. Not even a cough.
I learn something new every day. I didn't learn that. But I do appreciate that Coach knows about the courtesy flush. In a locker room, courtesy flushes are key, man. All right.
Yeah.
If you don't courtesy flush, come on, the whole team. We have to mock you, man. We got to shame you for that.
Especially if you're real gassy, you got to give it lots of courtesy flushes so everybody doesn't hear all your flatulence coming out.
No, that's like
or a good cough. Hey, a well-timed cough is invaluable.
Coach, what about this one from Troy?
There you go, Troy, my man. That would be me. I guess I'm a commodian.
Well done. Tell crappy jokes. I like that. All right. This is from Dirty Wizard 713. Says, has anyone from On Texas Football picked us to win? I know Jerry is out. I've not made my picks yet. Dirty Wizard 713. Yeah, I've not made my pick yet. I'm gonna wait till last possible minute to make my pick. So
I made my pick, and I don't think Texas fans were very fond of it, and that's okay. I would love to be wrong. Don't get me wrong. I would love to be wrong. I'd love to be back to Atlanta next week to cover Texas in the national championship. But I did have Ohio State winning 34-24. So if we're wrong, if I'm wrong, look, put the head on the stake, parade it around town.
Yeah, a lot of folks got comments about that.
Yep.
209 of them, and I doubt many of them are positive.
No, Coach, it's all, hey, good analysis, good luck.
Yeah.
Hey, all I know is if we win, there's going to be lots of commodians that are going to be flushing you.
Hey, they can take that score prediction right down with it.
That might be true. My mentions are Warzone as well. Yeah, you did that. See, that's your fault. That Warzone. You put that stuff out there. You put that evil out there, Ricky Bobby. All right. How about this one from Jack Burton? This is in the live chat. Jack says at 408, hit us up, said, could Sark not taking points on the field goals in the red zone be messing with Burt's kicking game? It could, but that's no excuse. That's not an excuse.
No, man. Your job is when your name is called, you go out and you execute. It don't matter if it's from – let me tell you a story. I had a kid one time went out to kick a field goal in college. I was coaching at Abilene Christian, and one of the most famous guys that I coached was a guy named John Layfield, who went on to the WWF, WWE as Bradshaw, JBL. Wrote a book. He even put me in the book. He didn't have much to write about. But anyway, we got a guy out there, and we're trying to kick a field goal right before the end of halftime, and our kicker calls timeout. Dennis Brown. I've told this story before. Dennis Brown calls a timeout. So I'm like meeting him halfway on the field, and Layfield, who's 6'6", about 280 pounds, runs over there and grabs him by the collar and said, "What's going on?" He goes, "Well, I'm not sure I can make this. It'll run my average." And I didn't have to say a word. I didn't say a word. Layfield drug him back out there. Of course, he missed a kick. We go back. They live in a 3-story dorm. Layfield stuffs him in a trash can, rolls him down 3 flights of stairs, and to this day, he's known as Dennis Trash Can Brown. True story. Linemen Linemen do not like field goal kickers that don't have,
don't have some stones about it. Huh?
Can you imagine call timeout?
Wow.
Saying, I'm afraid this might run my average.
Whoa. Honestly, he's got some testicular fortitude about him even say that and call it timeout.
I know, but he was probably wondering if he should have said that when he was rolling down about that second flight of stairs.
Oh man, what did Peyton Manning call his kicker? An idiot kicker at one time? That's an idiot kicker move right there. That's an idiot kicker move. Oh man, wow. He deserved that too. You can't call a timeout as a kicker, man. What are you talking? That's never happened before. I've never even heard.
I said, we got the only kicker in the country that iced himself.
Seriously, what you doing, man? He ended up getting a cool nickname like Trash. What did you say? Trash can. Trash can.
Trash Can Brown. He was from Arlington.
Hey, it's not a
I
bad
hope he's
nickname.
not watching or has family watching, but he can verify the story.
His family needs to know that. He did that. Their family needs to know that story, man. That you call
that is a cool nickname. We need more of those nicknames, by the way.
I agree. That is a cool nickname. Maybe Bert Arbor needs a cool nickname.
Yeah, we need like those 1920s like baseball nicknames.
Oh yeah, those were cool nicknames. I agree. Yeah, they were like fat sacks, and it's like stuff like that.
Yeah, shoeless Joe Jackson.
Shoeless Joe Jackson, yeah, stuff like that. The Commodian sent another super chat. Thank you, Commodian. He says, Coach, okay, right ideas. He's all about he likes it, Coach. He likes it. He likes the way you're going there. It's 420 somewhere. Thank you for the super chat. It's 420 somewhere. So I love the fact that everyone is doubting Texas. No pressure on UT. They just need to come out and punch Ohio State in the mouth to start. They have all the pressure. Let's see if they are cool or diamonds. I agree with that. That's a good point.
Great.
Because let's see if they are coal or diamonds. That's a good point about that. It's 420 somewhere because, Ohio State, last time they had this much pressure on them was Michigan.
Yeah, exactly.
So last time, and they did not show up in that game. And now Texas is playing pretty loose and free. I mean, this is found money for them. Nobody's giving them a chance to really win. Everybody says Ohio State is better, that they got more talent. So they will play kind of stress-free and pressure-free, I think that will help Quinn. Hopefully this situation helps Quinn more than anything. I think the pressure gets to quarterbacks more than it gets to other positions, in my opinion. Because there's a lot of talk about QBs, and the pregame is about quarterbacks. Hopefully for Quinn, who's playing his old team, that the lack of pressure on Texas and Texas being the underdog, I think it helps Quinn's psychology. So Quinn's already cool, calm, and collected in pressure situations, to the point where some people thought he was too carefree, right? When he first got to him, man, he seems a little too carefree out there in critical moments. I think that's just part of his cool, calm, collected demeanor. And I think without pressure on him, you may see Quinn pick up right where he left off versus Arizona State in the last 5 minutes. Now, that was a lot of pressure, and you saw him rise to the occasion because that was nothing but pressure in 4th and 13. I mean, that's your season's on the line, and we saw Quinn at his best. So it's 420 somewhere. We hoping that is definitely the case.
Yes.
Another question here. Oh, this one actually comes from, I saw this one from Texas Chick, and I wanted to get to it. Oh, yeah, Texas Chick 01. It's earlier today at 4:08. How many times do we go empty with running back in slot, motion them to other side, but keep empty, set, should identify defense? I've been saying it all week long. They should definitely run empty. They should definitely run empty. Not just because it forces a defense to abandon disguise and reveal coverage and responsibilities, but you can identify the matchup you want, the mismatch. And if CJ's right, I think CJ is, those corners for Ohio State. Now, Ohio State is it's the elite defense. They don't have a lot of weaknesses, but I think the weakest part of the defense, not saying they are weak, but the weakest part of the defense is the corners. I think Texas can take advantage of the corners. They will need time, and you have to be able to identify that matchup. But the way to identify it and identify the coverage would be to go empty. And I've been throwing this out there all week. I don't know what it is, but Quinn, at the end of seasons, he usually finds his groove in empty formation at the end of the season. And he has been fantastic at the end of this season out of empty formation. So in the last 4 games, he's at 90% completion percentage, 90+%. He is over 13 yards per attempt. His explosive play rate is over 30%. His first down touchdown rate is 69% out of empty formation last 4 games. He's dealing. His third down conversion rate of 70%. He's killing it out of empty. I wouldn't, if I'm Sark, I'd double down on that. I would probably run empty 10 to 12 plays.
Yeah, I totally agree. Rod, I got to give you, some kudos here. I was talking to a good friend, Colin Wilson from the Action Network earlier during one of the media sessions before we went over for the press conference this morning. And, we were, chopping it up. How do you feel about the game? How do you think Texas will attack? What should Texas do? And, he's a big analytical, gambling guy. So he looks at it from the number sense. He said, look, this should be a game Texas throws about 45 times. They need to spread out Ohio State. They need to go to empty. And I was, kind of pitching some of your numbers that you've had. I was like, north of 13 yards per attempt. Haven't seen it all that much this year, but when they do, they're efficient. He said, look, here's the other thing. You can try the Ohio State cornerbacks, which I've been saying this week as well. I think Texas will have success doing so. If not, they'll have pass interference, whatnot. But he says, watch for what Texas does if they get Jordan Hancock, Ohio State's nickel/third safety, on Matthew Golden. Look at what happens if that's the case, because that's the mismatch for Texas offensively. And I was like, okay, there's something else there, because, of course, all of the attention for me has been on the outside corners, keep it away from Caleb Downs, Lathan Ransom. Davison Igmanosin, I've said it before, 13 penalties this year at cornerback. And then obviously on the other side, Denzel Burks allows 79% of his targets this year for 370 yards. You can get some chunk plays against the two, but he said Jordan Hancock is the one that Texas fans should be looking at, saying, okay, if he's on a Ryan Wingo or Matthew Golden, Texas is going to have their deep shots there.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll have a check ready for it. When they see a matchup, they're like, hey, let's go. Got to check. Like,
remember,
you predict that slot fade? Did you predict the slot fade?
Slot fade the more. Yep.
Hey, if they see it, they like it. Maybe that's the guy. That's the guy. MJF says maybe Quinn doesn't do well when taking eyes off defense when faking handoffs. That's why he excels at empty when he sees the defense the entire time. That's a great point, because Sark has a pro-style offense. He likes some of the old-school play action where you turn your back to the defense and then have to obviously kind of recalibrate. and see everything. And for a quarterback, sometimes that can, be discombobulating, if you will. So I like empty because empty cleans up everything. No defense will disguise when they face empty. They can't disguise. It's too much stress put on the defense. I have to get to my alignment and assignment right away. So you'll be able to tell if they're in man, if they're in zone, like Coach says. Then you just motion to see like, oh, that guy going to carry him. Then we'll know that they're usually in man. And the ball comes out relatively quick. But if you get enough protection, and this is what teams like to do against him too, they're either going to blitz like hell or they're going to drop everybody. They're going to blitz like hell or drop everybody. It's usually no in between. They're going 5-man blitz to give you no time at all, or they're going to drop everybody and give you a little bit more time to decipher. Either way is good for Texas.
No.
I love empty formation versus Ohio State. I think they should run it. I would say 12 to 15 plays. I'm no joke.
I'm with it.
I'd like to say this. Go back and look at the times that Quinn does have his eyes in the backfield for a fake. I would venture to say the majority of those are already select receiver routes. They already have designated who they're going to throw to, and all the routes that are going downfield are all taking people out of areas so that his one-man route will be open. I think that's what he does a lot when he turns his back to the defense and faking. It's going to be a one-receiver route at the most, and then maybe a safety valve. But I don't think they're asking him to turn his back to the defense, fake, and then turn around and read the entire defense. It's almost a 1 or 2 shot deal, and that's it.
Yeah. Coach, I think you're right. And the reason I think you're right is because I have said before, there are predetermined reads in Sark's offense. It's got to be. Because sometimes you'll see Quinn and he's doing
you see that usually Helm. That was a great post, LL. Yeah, it's usually Helm.
Yeah, and it's like there's no way Quinn read that, because sometimes he'll just throw to a receiver and the guy's not open. I'm like, why do you read that as open? And I think it's because there's a predetermined read, especially with the play action. He's like, no, this guy will be open, and that's no guarantee. You just think you're going to get the coverage, but a lot of times it is open. That's schemed open by Sark. So good point there, Coach. All right, let's hit a couple of super chats here. How about this one? Pat says, Coach, you're the Ohio State DC for this question. What's your scheme to stop the UT offense? Ooh, I like this.
Boy. Well, since Pat is my attorney, I'm probably safe in Pat. Hey, Pat and I have some stories that go back decades. Decades.
Attorney-client privilege, right? Attorney-client privilege, right?
Yeah. He's my best friend and my lawyer, all rolled up into one. And he's my horse guru. He's helping me in the horse business. So
pony action?
Oh yeah. He's a roping extraordinaire.
Wow.
When he has a horse. His horse died, so
sorry, Pat.
He actually wrote a song about his horse dying. A little too much information.
Pat has a lot of talent. He can write
awesome song. He did.
He's a lawyer.
He did. That's him right there. That's it. He went into the AI about his horse, and they wrote him a song like that, and it's unbelievable. It really is. But anyway, Pat, to answer your question, I say you put heat on the quarterback and stop the run. Mm-hmm. I don't think I would just bring pressure. That's what I would do, and make him get rid of it quick, or make him throw it up in the air.
And I'll add to it. Honestly, running the 3 high helps you too, because no defensive scheme has the adverse effect on Sark's offense like the 3 high does. All of the offensive numbers decrease. All the offensive numbers, like I said, are adversely affected that I have studied when Sark's offenses face a 3 high defense. It just is. It counters Sark's offense really well. So that, but I think that also is going to work in Sark's favor, because Sark faced a 3 high. I don't know if, a lot of, coaches around the country outside the Big 12 have faced a 3 high as much as Sark has. He had the damn games last year. He's running 3 high. So he's got a formula for it. He should not be shocked by the structure and the schematics of a 3 high. Matter of fact, I think he might be almost kind of borderline arrogant that I know how to solve this thing.
Oh yeah.
I know how to
I love throwing against the 3 deep. I love throwing against 3 deep. There's holes everywhere underneath.
Gotta find them. You gotta find them. You need time. You need a little time to find them, but there's holes there.
Hey, if all else fails, run 4 verts. Run
4 verts always stresses the 3 deep, the 3 high. Yeah, the 3 deep. How about this one from Jeff? Says, I believe everyone on Texas football should make an honest prediction for the Cotton Bowl. Please. Love you guys. Keep up the great work and keep it real. Yeah, I haven't made my prediction yet. Yeah, CJ picked Ohio State. I think Jerry did too. I usually have more time. I'll do it at the end of the show, then, Jeff. Because I don't know if I'm able to do it before tomorrow because we'll go live with our in-game live watch. I believe they'll have a morning show, Coffee and Football at 8 a.m. So maybe I'll hop on Coffee and Football with Bobby and do it. Maybe I'll do that.
I'm telling you, I'm 34-28 Texas. 34-28 Texas.
Oh, there you go.
Somebody's going to kick 2 field goals for us. It may be CJ. I'm not really sure exactly who it's going to be.
It's going to be Bert Auburn. Come on. He's going to bounce back, guys. Bert's going to bounce back. Jeff also says, can we win if we lose the third quarter big?
No, you can't. Ohio State is not a team that you can give quarters to. They're not a team that relents any of their big leads. If you don't come to play for all 4, this is not a team that's going to give you extra opportunities to come back and win. The answer is no.
You've been outscored 43-6 in your last 6 third quarters. I agree. Don't lose it big. As long as it's not a disastrous third quarter with turnovers and, obviously for Texas and some self-inflicted wounds, I think you can have an average to below average third quarter. The problem with Texas third quarters is they're the worst third quarter team in the country. You can't be that bad. You can be bad. You can't be that bad. And that's the problem. And to CJ's point that he made during the that he brought up during our preview, you got to make sure you withstand that first quarter. The first quarter is the knockout quarter for Ohio State. They've been coming out like juggernaut, like a gangbusters, man. So you gotta. I think that's the key. And I love. And this is something Coach has said forever. Coach has said he doesn't know why other coaches don't do it. People say if you win the toss, take the football. You said that, CJ. You said take the football, and I totally agree. Because if anything, you just want to be able to keep Ohio State from getting into that early stride, that early rhythm, and starting with a bang. And you can do that if you have the football. I just kind of keep the ball for a while and keep them on the sidelines and at least mitigate the damage in the first quarter. So I like that idea. That if you win the toss, now, Coach, you always say take the ball, but for this reason, take the ball. Take the ball.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And your third quarter ain't been great anyway, so I'd rather your defense start out anyway in the third quarter. You're good. All right. Sorry if I missed it earlier. This is MJF. But any word on whether OTF will have a tailgate tomorrow? Isn't there is it Surly Horns that Texas is doing the tailgate with? My man Matthew, I'm sure may beat me to it, but MJF, I will find the text and get you. And I believe we're going to tweet out that information as well. And yes, and I'll get that to you. I'll get to you before we're done with this live stream because I believe we were texting about it on our text chain. Thank you, MJF, for asking that. We really appreciate that. All right, let's thank our final sponsor for the evening, our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery. Really appreciate our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery for being a sponsor of On Texas Football and the sponsor of the Winning Drive. Did you know the most awarded wine in Texas is actually the vineyard closest to Austin? That's right, folks. Flat Creek State Winery is just minutes from downtown Austin, and they've won award after award this year for their vintage wine, Super Texan. Super Texan is now available at your local spec, so give it a try. Of course, Flat Creek is also a gorgeous venue with barbecues and wine tastings every single weekend. Perfect for a day date with your significant other or a weekend getaway with your significant other. That's Flat Creek Estate Winery. I love it. They also have a great display over at Central Market. I'm a big fan of Central Market. I'm glad now they are big fans of Flat Creek Estate Winery as well. So you'll love it, folks. The Super Texan is great, but they got a lot of great wines. I love the rosé is really good. The Pinot Grigio is fantastic from Flat Creek Estate Wine. So I've moved on from just the Super Texan being one of my favorites to now enjoying all of the great wines that Flat Creek has. So check it out for yourself. That's flatcreekestate.com, flatcreekestate.com for checking out their wine, but also to get some information about the venue itself and when you can go there with your significant other and enjoy the ambiance and environment there at Flat Creek State Winery. All right, let's get back to a couple of questions. Oh, there you go. Boom. See, Matthew is the man. Multitasking back there. There you go. So the tailgate, Boiling Tails Company. At Boiling Tails Company. That'll be. All right, there you go.
I think I've been in that spot before where my tail was boiling at the time.
3 o'clock. Look at that. We got a heater too.
Oh, there you go. Nice. All right, so look at that. Matthew's looking you up. Boiling Tails Company there.
Oh, right by CC's. Hell yeah.
All right.
All you can hold down. All you can hold down pizza, $3.99.
816.
I'll tell you what. one of the first dates I took. My last girlfriend was to a CC, so.
Oh man!
Whoa! Hold up!
Your ex-girlfriend.
That's why there's an X there.
I was gonna say, CJ, that's definitely why there's an X there. You gonna take your woman to CC? Y'all got to be. How long was y'all dating before you took her to CC's?
Oh, I mean, it might have been right before we started dating.
Oh, well, then no. You can't take it to CC until y'all been dating a while. Like y'all talking about maybe like a year. And then she's like, babe, we can go anywhere. We can go to Chick-fil-A. We can go to Burger King. You already know. Me and you together, we good.
Hey, for a man, CC's, that's just gut wadding. You know, get it in the stomach, cheap price. Once it's in there, the gut don't know how much you paid for it. It's just gut wadding. You know,
yeah, I like
dates
exactly
don't
it.
like gut wadding. They don't like gut wadding.
Nope. No, coach is right about that. No, they want to enjoy appetizers and drinks. You know what I mean? Coach is right. Yep.
Well, they got lemonade. They got lemonade.
Yeah.
They got a couple of things on their salad
Those
bar.
little cinnamon rolls. Come on.
CJ's taking dates to Golden Corral and stuff. Hey, you should take him to Luby's. That's how you know you got a good woman. She's cool with Luby's. She's a good woman.
Luby still got Jello?
Yeah, Luby's got a good stuff, man. Good stuff. I'm a big fan. I got a Luby's down the road from me, man. Love that. So said Double D said Sissy's and Taco Bueno equals guaranteed. Ask the Commodian.
Yes.
Taco Bueno. I haven't had Taco Bueno since I was single. That's how you know that is a single man's place to go. Since I've been with my wife, we've been together like 12 years. I've had no Taco Bueno. And I love Taco Bueno. There's certain places you can only go when you're single. My woman ain't gonna want to go to Taco Bueno with me.
And he's single. Mama Lisa knows.
Yes, he's single.
You need Mama Lisa to cook up a gourmet meal and then leave, and you come in with your apron on.
Yeah, CJ. Yeah, you should. CJ, can you cook? Can you cook for these women instead of taking them to buffets?
I'll cook for what I like to eat.
You can't cook what you like to eat. You cook what you think they want.
Yeah,
that's about good. I mean,
pig in a blanket, those easy things like that.
Yeah, after football season, we're gonna hook CJ up. We're gonna basically work as a dating site for CJ. We'll get CJ hooked up with the.
Rod, I've said it forever. 2027's my year. We're 2 years away now. 2027's my year. We just got to.
You're pacing yourself.
That's it.
Hey, don't be in a rush. I didn't get married till I was 40, so you're good. I didn't get married till I was 40. I had my first kid at 41. You're good. All right. How about this? It's 420. Someone says, Rod, I feel like a lot of the struggles the secondary has had is when QB gets out of the pocket, edges need to be patient and not let Howard buy time. You're definitely right about that. Sam Levitt was able to extend the play a ton. We can talk about that. Cade Klubnik could move around to extend the play to escape the rush. Listen, the truth is, and you're right about it, 420 somewhere. I'll give you a stat. Texas, best defense in the country this season at defending the explosive play, 20-plus yard plays. They allowed, I think, during the season, 26. That includes the SEC title game. Guys, they were allowing 2 to 2.5 explosive plays per game in the regular season. Guys, they've allowed 12 in the 2 playoff games. 12. Chunk yardage plays.
Wow.
So playing a better quarterback presents more problems and more problems that you have to find solutions for, more things to defend. So there's no doubt these quarterbacks that can move around have given Texas some problems. So I agree with you. The edges are going to be big. It's going to keep Will Howard in the pocket, but you got to get to Will Howard. Will Howard has been throwing the football better than any time in his career. And it's no surprise because he's got better wide receivers to throw the football to. But on passes 15 yards or more, he's 12 of 17 in the playoffs, guys. 12 of 17.
That's really good.
He's having his right now. He's leads the country in completion percentage of 15 plus yard passes. He leads the country in right now. So he's going downfield. The Texas pass rush, if they can get home, all right, before he's able to spot those targets downfield, I think they got a question. I think they got a real shot here because Texas defensive line, I think they have an advantage. Not a seismic huge advantage. But I think against a injury-riddled offensive line, they lost 2 starters and moved another starter out of position on the Ohio State line. I think the Texas D-line may have an advantage there. They got to win that matchup if Texas is going to win the game. They have to. If they don't, Texas won't win. Got no shot. All right, thank you. It's 420 somewhere. Jeff says, CJ, where is Carson Beck going to transfer?
Look, I think Miami is a pretty realistic destination. Of course, Cam Ward's headed to the NFL. His girlfriend's a basketball player down there. It makes all the sense in the world to go to South Beach.
That's right.
But we'll see. That was an interesting move, I thought.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about the Miami thing. That could be sexy. David Keith Williams says, with Caleb Downs being such a run support focus free safety, his focus could easily allow a healthy Isaiah Bond to get behind him. Quinn Ewers just has to connect with him. What's your view? Yeah, I was actually Coach and I talked about this on Football Theory. Isaiah Bond, yes, he provides the ability to take the top off the defense with his world-class speed, of course. But where you really miss him is his twitchiness on wide receiver screens. Guys, on wide receiver screens, he has 9 targets basically behind the line of scrimmage. That's a screen. This is a quick screen, bubble or tunnel screen. He's got on those 9 targets, 3 touchdowns on those 9 targets behind the line of scrimmage, 3 touchdowns and 5 first downs. So he's got 8 first downs and or touchdowns on 9 targets behind the line of scrimmage. That's where you miss him. Because I love Ryan Wingo and I love Golden and I love DeAndre Moore. None of them are twitchy enough. None of them go from 0 to 60 quick enough to take a wide receiver screen through 20, 30, 40, 50 yards like Isaiah Bond. They just don't have it. That's why he's the only one that can do that. Xavier Worthy did that, right? He could take a quick screen and bop it for 40, 50, just like that, because he can go from 0 to 60 real quick. That's where you miss Bond. And I think that's what he could bring back to the offense. But I agree with you about Caleb Downs. I think Sark's going to go after Caleb Downs. The scouting report from the NFL says he struggles in coverage. Now, what they're using him as coach is a freestyle player. They're letting him freelance. They're putting him down as the inverted defender in that inverted too high look. All right, he's the inverted defender, and they're basically letting him either be a free rover, come down into the box. Sometimes he drops back as a safety, as one of 2 highs or a single high. But they're letting him use his instincts more. They're not giving him a flat out assignment of covering one guy, which probably would put him at a disadvantage. No. He's a help defender. And which is even scarier.
Yeah.
Very scary.
Right. It is interesting. Texas did play Caleb Downs a year ago, right?
Yep.
Maybe there's something there tendency-wise, but I think the way that they're using him now at Ohio State's a little bit different than Alabama, so we'll see. But if Texas is able to get an Isaiah Bond fully healthy, and I don't expect a big game from Isaiah Bond, I hope I'm wrong there, but just what I've kind of heard behind the scenes, I'm not going to put a whole lot of expectations on his plate this week.
Yeah. Mamba P says, when I hear stats like that, it's like, why doesn't Sark just call that until someone stops it? Remember what I said about Sark? Sark's not an extremist. He's a moderate. And I'm not describing his political stance. Like he's, in terms of his offensive call, like he won't just run something into the ground. He won't run a concept until you stop it. And I always say Sark doesn't like leftovers because Sark will have a brilliant play call in the first half and you'll never see it again. And you'll wonder, why didn't they run that same play that had the defense so lost in the first half? And Sark won't run again because Sark likes his variety and he wants to, use the run game and have balance and all these things. I'm like, nah, I'll just run until they stop it. If they don't stop it, I'm going to keep running it. That's what I would do. And Sark's starting to do some of that. We're starting to see the wide zone versus Clemson. That was an example of an extremist. No, it's working. Then I don't give a damn. I'm not calling anything else till you stop it. And that's him being an extremist in that way. And he did that against, Georgia a little bit with targets to motion. I think they had 10 targets to motion in that game. He's starting to become more of an extremist, but I'm with you. I've always said to Sark don't like leftovers. I love leftovers. Some good, I put it in the fridge, ate it, I'll eat it for 3 straight days. I love leftovers. Sark don't eat leftovers. He don't play the hits. It's just not really in his nature. While we only saw the wide leak, the tight end leak, you saw it in that Arizona State game to win the game. How many times have we seen it this year? That play is money. You see it twice, 2-3 times a year. Seen it.
That's a question. That's a question that Rod, you and I asked CJ to ask Sark earlier in the year why he didn't run that play more. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That tight end leak like that.
Oh yeah, it's always
it's money. Yeah,
it's money. And so that I think that's just growth with Sark to become an extremist about certain concepts. And I think he'll get there. But then it's if you keep running it, then teams will adjust to it quicker. So it is also that he can't just run it over and over again, like the wide zone. Ran a lot versus Clemson, and it's great. But then Arizona State, you couldn't run it at all because you probably showed every possible landmark and every possible formation, every possible personnel grouping that you were going to run the wide zone. So they figured it out. And if you run the tight end leak so much, well, I guarantee you teams will put it in their practice notes and they will start practicing against the tight end leak. So it is part of that too. You want to have a little bit of the variety just so you don't lose that novelty effect. Thank you, Mama P. All right. Thank you to our friends over at Duck Camp for sponsoring the Winning Drive and sponsoring all of this week's live shows as we preview the college football playoff matchup between Texas and Ohio State. Thank you very much to Matthew behind the scenes. He is the real MVP. We appreciate Matthew. Thanks, Coach, for all of your wisdom and knowledge. Oh, how about that? Just ran into Ohio State fans in the hotel elevator. They misread the bracket and thought Ohio State would be playing in the Orange Bowl. They'll be at Penn State other day. What?
Unreal.
What? Is that a real thing? Oh, that's brutal.
Unreal.
That's brutal. Oh, yeah. Somebody's going to never hear the end of that one. Somebody's not going to hear the end of that. I guarantee somebody's wife is just not going to let them hear the end of that one.
It's going to be the last game they ever get tickets for.
I don't know if they're going to make it there. All right.
Hey, that reminds me of when Jordan, the Bengals are playing the Colts. Remember that story?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I buy a ticket for Baltimore, you know.
Oh,
Forgot
CJ,
they weren't in Baltimore anymore.
CJ went to the wrong airport once. I remember that, right?
I'm just an idiot. I saw an H and IAH, and I was like, yeah, that's got to be hobby. So I went to the wrong airport.
Hey, man.
At least I showed up in the right city, though.
Yeah, I didn't get on the plane, by the way, but I booked a ticket.
Oh, man, that is great. See, it happens to everybody. All right, it happens to everybody. All right, thank you guys for all your super chats. Thank you, Mama P. We appreciate that super chat as well. Thanks, Coach, for the levity and the wisdom. Thank you, CJ, for all your hard work and knowledge. Thank you, Matthew, behind the scenes. Thanks to all of our sponsors, Flat Creek Estate Winery, flatcreekestate.com. Thank you to duckcamp.com as well, southpointdodge.com, and hardgroveroofing.com. Tomorrow, you got coffee and football at 8 a.m., so if you missed any of the breakdown or you have questions that we didn't get to, please shoot them to the guys at Coffee and Football. At regular time, pregame at 3 p.m. Woo! I'll hit up Bobby on the show and make my prediction if I didn't do it. All right. I'll do that for those who want my prediction. All right. Until next time, until tomorrow, guys. And thank you, Mama Vogel. Give Mama Vogel a hand. I appreciate Mama Vogel joining us. And for CJ and for Coach and for Matthew, thanks to all of our sponsors. Until next time, Buckeyes.